the black void, only illuminated by the flickering lights of Sirius, Vega, and the other stars painting a tapestry of colors in the vast cosmic portrait. All of creation lies still, waiting in silence the birth of the child king. All wait, while the weight of the up-and-coming clash between cosmic belligerent factions stands, only holding back on an absent spark, ready to become present, to ignite a cataclysmic conflagration of unbridled carnage that will take place any moment. The blackness of space, instantly defeated with a flash of light, an explosion of fire, the boom of which demands the presence of all of the heavenly hosts. A queen appears, wrapped in flames as if clothed with the sun itself. The moon giving its testimony beneath her feet. A galaxy consumes her crown. 12 stars, a celestial system dancing together in orbit. She lets out a cry, a scream of pain, announcing the end of her pregnancy. With thunderous roars and celestial quakes, the child king is born. The one that will rule over all of creation. A brilliant victory, a new era, a new reign like never before. But hope is stunted as the ominous form of the dragon descends upon the scene like a malevolent hurricane, unleashing a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of creation itself. The atmosphere is charged with the palpable sense of dread as the dragon, with eyes blazing with baleful glee, lunged forth to violently display its rapacious will that consumes the child. And war broke out in heaven as the angels loyal to the star queen and her child drew blood. Silent night, violent night. Hell and heaven have met to fight. This is the apocalyptic nativity scene that John illustrates in the 12th chapter of Revelation. Who is the child king that will be born, that will rule with a rod of iron? Who is it? Yeshua. It's a trick question. We start getting in apocalyptic literature and all middle. I don't know. The one that somehow enters the throne room of God to reign and rule as king. It's Yeshua. And who gave birth to Yeshua? Mary. Mary. Makes the birth accounts of Matthew and Luke seem a bit boring now, doesn't it? It's like they're underwhelming. In John's vision, he gives a glimpse of what is actually taking place when Yeshua is born. Oh, Mary putting the child in a feeding trough, Betsy the cow in the corner, feeling a bit jaded about it all. It's my bowl. Shepherds dancing, a bright star in the sky? No. John seems dissatisfied with the traditional telling of how Yeshua's birth has been received. This was war. This was war. This was conflict, celestial beings drawing their swords to slay one another. Why? Because the child king took his throne. That's Revelation 5, by the way. The Lamb that stands in the throne room of God, all of creation orbiting it as its center, as a roaring lamb with its throat slit. This is how he has conquered. And then the dragon engages in battle with the star queen. Revelation is a book of metaphor. 100%. That's the nature of the genre of literature it's written in. The personification of evil, the devil is not a real dragon with scales and that has an astronaut suit so it can breathe in space. But John is portraying an image here, and it's an image of Mary. Now, sure, it has multiple meanings. Absolutely. Especially a meaning that is symbolic of Israel herself bringing forth the child. But in its primary painting, it's Mary. You can't dissect that. And I believe it's a composition of Mary that is based on warrior attributes written of in the gospel according to Luke and John. Mary, the mother of Yeshua. Descriptions that those of us that may have been raised in more evangelical circles likely resisted acknowledging. I mean, the only time Mary's really acknowledged in the churches I grew up with, in our tradition, is once a year in the nativity playing, right? She gets a little bit of the spotlight, not too much. Put her back in the storage closet when you're done. No teachings, no sermons, no Bible studies, And looking back at my traditions, church traditions growing up, I can only sum it up as an immature response to disagreeing with more orthodox Christian traditions that venerate Mary more than I think I'm comfortable with. Another Orthodox tradition venerates Mary, and then somehow that tradition evolves to the point of praying to Mary. Not that she would answer the prayers, but that she would intercede on our behalf to God, that he would answer our prayers, which I don't believe is theologically correct. I don't. But you know what? Because I don't think that is theologically correct, I will reject any acknowledgement that Mary ever deserved any honor or any spotlight. I think it's just as bad of an opinion. What would happen if we chose to dare to reframe Mary and how we see her through a lens other than she was just another vessel used by God? Mary, a 13 to 15-year-old teenager from a village so small, most people didn't even know it existed in the first century. So small. The village of Nazareth in the first century that the angel Gabriel came to would fit within the footprint of this church building. Itty-bitty. Itty-bitty. She was not the daughter of a great rabbi, a great politician, a wealthy patron. No. A teenage brown-skinned girl from Nazareth that the world likely never even noticed before. And this is how she is in part portrayed in Revelation. The sun, the moon, 12 stars. Hey, isn't that the vision and the dream that Joseph had about him? And what was the point of Joseph's dream? Oh, that one day God would take him from a lowly place to a place of exaltation. Luke and John love Mary in their telling of the story of Yeshua. Luke begins his entire gospel account with a woman-centric first chapter that exalts two prophets that herald the promises and hopes of God from the past and the turning point of the entire story of the Bible. It is making its turn now. And these two prophets' names are Elizabeth and Mary. Zechariah is the man, he's the priest, that should have been sold out for the plan of God, but he doesn't believe, so he's silenced. And Elizabeth believes without even experiencing the testimony of an angel. Kind of the bumbling male figure that has his status, so why does he need his faith and belief? Kind of reminds me of the story of Samson's mother. One of the three women in the entire Bible that was approached by an angel alone and told about their future child. The angel came and told her about her son, and her son would deliver Israel from their enemies. So she told her husband. And her husband demanded that we go find this angel, make the angel come back so he can tell me what you already told me. Read it. The angel comes back. Long story short, he freaks. He's almost trembling on the floor a little bit. Oh my gosh, we're going to die. It's an angel. It's an actual angel. God's going to kill us. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Samson's mom. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. What are you doing? If God wanted to kill us, he wouldn't have invited us on this mission. Get up. What are you doing? She gives birth to a boy, and she names him Samson. And another occurrence of an angel appearing to a woman. You may be familiar with it. The angel sings a song to this young woman who found herself in an impossible situation. And the angel speaks these words. He says, you shall conceive and give birth to a son, and you shall name him Ishmael. This woman's name was Hagar, the marginalized servant abused as a sex slave by none other than Abram and Sarah. She escaped the hands of her persecutor and now found herself in the wilderness, alone and pregnant as a refugee. An angel appears and asks her to do something hard. It's part of a bigger vision, and it sucks. Return to Sarah and submit to her. And you will be the mother of an entire nation that will be so numerous you will not be able to count them. That's Abraham's blessing, isn't it? And then the angel sings a song. You will conceive. You have conceived. You will give birth to a son, and you shall name him Ishmael. Why? Because the Lord has been giving you his attention for a while, Hagar. He's seen your misery. Something about Hagar gained God's favor. And Hagar goes on to be the only person in the Hebrew Bible to name God. She calls him El Roi, the God that sees me. The God that sees me. And guess what? She went back to Abram. She bore his son, and she named him Ishmael. Abram didn't have a say. God goes on to raise up Ishmael, blesses him, and proclaims that 12 tribes will come from him, and he will be fruitful and multiply. God's blessings are so abundant. The third, the culminating example of women whom an angel appeared concerning her son was Mary. And the angel is so excited. So excited. The first thing he says is, "What's up, favored woman? God's with you." He just bursts in. He can't. "What's up, favored woman?" Mary's shook. She don't know what to do. She's like caught off guard. And it says like she's what has happened? She says she was troubled because of what kind of greeting is this? Oh my gosh, it's an angel. Not Samson's dad. Whoa, wait. What kind of a greeting is that from an angel to someone else? Don't be afraid. You found favor with God, the angel says, Gabriel. You will conceive, give birth to a son, and you shall name him Yeshua. That's the right answer now. That's the right answer. Yeshua. He will be called the Son of the Most High. He will be given the throne of David, and he will rule forever. Cool. I know this from the stories. Hagar was already pregnant. Samson's mom was barren. I mean, that's a miracle. Open the womb. But you may have missed something in all of your excitement, Gabriel. I'm a virgin. I've never been. I got this guy. Joseph is mentioned one time in Luke. He didn't care about him. He's like, yeah, it's the guy she's going to marry. Boom. Married. I said, I'm not even married. What do you mean? Gabriel responds. He says, the power of the Holy Spirit is going to come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Overshadow you. Episkeazo, Greek. Same word used in the Septuagint in Exodus 40:35, the end of the book of Exodus, when the tabernacle, the dwelling place of the glory of God, was completed, and the glory of God filled the holy place. This revelation of God to man filled the holy place, and the cloud of power overshadowed the house that the glory dwelled. I like to think that that's significant. Mary is about to be a vessel and a dwelling place for the truest revelation of the glory of God that creation has ever experienced. That's what Yeshua is described as in John chapter 1 and Hebrews chapter 1. I mean, come on, Matt. It's just symbolic. Don't read into it. Okay, I'm not going to read into it. Mary then runs from Galilee into the Judean mountains like Elijah to see Elizabeth. And as soon as the sound of Mary's voice reaches the ears of Elizabeth, Elizabeth is filled with the Holy Spirit. Let's not read into that too much, right? Something powerful is going on with this little girl, this teenage woman of God. And then Elizabeth makes a prophetic cry instantly. Blessed are you among women. Why is that significant? Well, there's only one other place in the Bible where that phrase occurs. And it's not at a baby shower. And it's not at some type of congratulatory greeting. No, it's no other place than Judges chapter 5. Speaking about Yael. Blessed are you among women, Yael. You struck Sisera and crushed his skull, shattered and pierced his temple. Here, Mary is linked by Elizabeth as she continues to prophesy. She's linked to Yael, the woman who crushed the skull of the enemies of Israel. Why is that important? Well, because in Genesis chapter 3:15, there's a prophecy that Eve will produce an offspring that will crush the head of the serpent, just like Erica taught us earlier about Yael. In the book of John, Mary is mentioned twice. First at the wedding of Cana, where she asked Yeshua to do a miracle. And he says, it's not my hour. My hour has not yet come. But then he takes water and brings forth wine. And the second time Mary appears in John is at the foot of the cross, where his hour had come. And he didn't turn water into wine. No, he was given wine, and he brought forth water and blood. In John, Mary is made to be the bookends of the entire structure and pattern of his ministry. And in both instances, Yeshua calls her woman. Not mom, not grandma or whatever, not Mary, woman. It's not yet my hour. How rude. John is smarter than we are when he's writing his book. Gene, Gina. It's the word that's used. It's the same word used for Eve in Genesis chapter 2 by Adam. And in Genesis chapter 1, the chapter before she is called woman, it's a creation story that begins with the words in the beginning. Oh, wait, John, also in chapter 1, the chapter before Mary is called woman, there is a creation story that begins with the words in the beginning. Gene, the woman, the new Eve. The new Eve that is going to fulfill the prophecy of Genesis 3:15, where her seed will crush the skull of the serpent. And at the end of John, the stake is placed through the ground known as Golgotha, the skull, defeating the enemies of Israel once and for all. Just like Yael foreshadows. Blessed are you among women. Mary, who sings a song in Luke 1 that is a conflation of the song of Miriam, the female prophet speaking of the defeat of Pharaoh, the song of Hannah, proclaiming God's power, the great reversal of the lowly becoming lifted up on the thrones, kings and queens. The song of Deborah, the leader of Israel, and judge that testify of the defeat of the armies that come against God's people, concluding, may your enemies perish. Mary, in the Gospel of Luke, is the culmination of all of the female prophets and warriors in the story of the Bible. And the most striking thing she does is what we are called to emulate. After the angel asks her if she will accept this mission, what's she say? See, I am the Lord's servant. may all of this happen to me as you have said. I don't think we realize the weight of Mary accepting this mission, because everyone is always like, if an angel came to me and asked me to fulfill some prophecy, I'd happily be like, yes, yes, unless you understood the sacrifice of what it was going to cost you. Mary wasn't favored because she accepted. She was favored before that. She was the kind of person that God was looking for before Gabriel appeared. Lowly, humble, the castaway, a nobody, the disadvantaged, steadfast in her faith for him. And she was willing to be who she needed to be in light of it. And I submit, Mary, the new Eve, understood fully what it would cost her to go to war with the dragon, the serpent of old. And she looks at the angel and she says, I'm here to serve. May your word be fulfilled. In context, it's on par with saying, long live the king. Some people picture this type of scared little girl who doesn't know what's going on. I picture Joan of Arc placing her sword before her, swearing allegiance to fight for Charles VII. The mother warrior, the star queen, the one who brought forth the child king, the skull crusher, the woman who put herself in a direct trajectory of the serpent, of the dragon, the one who became the vessel for the truest revelation of the glory of Yahweh that creation had ever seen. And this shouldn't be controversial. This shouldn't be controversial. I'm not saying you need to pray to Mary. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you need to have statues of her. Stop making doctrines equally destructive to doctrines you feel are wrong. I'm not saying you need to take a level of Mary veneration that the Greek Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church has embraced. I'm saying that if we are willingly ignorant of the honor and the BA-ness that Mary deserves to be recognized for, that we give to Peter and John and David, who was a complete jerk, by the way, you've missed part of the beautiful story that Luke and John bent over backwards to try to show you. Go back and reread Luke. Joseph is like nowhere. Oh, Joseph, she's going to marry him. That's it. That's it. Joseph's story is in Matthew's gospel. He didn't really like Mary that much. Fine. Luke. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's all about this teenage girl that the God who sees saw. And she should be an example that we teach our children about when it comes to preparing them to fight the good fight against evil. To teach them to say, I am the Lord's servant. Thank you, everybody.